Welcome to this special edition of the DPW podcast, live from the floor of DPW New York, where we're exploring the world of procurement, technology, and innovation. And I'm very glad to welcome to the podcast, pronounce your name correctly. Maybe you can put
Marijose.
Marijose. There we go. I can about pronounce my own name, but I do get tongue-tied. You've just come off stage. You've already presented earlier today on some of your journey so far in the procurement world, and how you found the conference so far.
The conference has been great. A lot of different topics, a lot of experts. So it's been great.
Lots of technology.
Yeah, of course.
Less on the technology side now. I want to talk to you about leadership and change, and your background, both at Pernod Ricard and also AB InBev, and in the automotive space, gives you a great position to talk about how procurement can change. And we talked ahead of this session about how procurement really needs to align with the business strategy and customer needs. And I thought maybe we could kick off talking about how the value proposition can really change when we start looking at the customer at the forefront of the procurement function.
Yeah, of course. From my point of view, I think we are in a very privileged position because we can see the full organization end to end. And when you understand your final consumer or customer needs, and then you cross the dots all around the organization, and then you have a clear view of how the suppliers perform and contribute, that's when I think procurement becomes super strategical, because then you can see end to end, and you can also see what it's in the middle of the sandwich, and that gives a very unique vision on how to transform the organization, how to bring new proposals, and at the same time, how to ask the suppliers what do you need and how they can contribute for the business.
Yeah, and I think that's where sometimes procurement gets disconnected when it's purely looking from sometimes a single focus of continuity of supply and cost and so forth. And I'm not really seeing where the opportunity is actually to support the business on growth. I think in the past, you talked about the chief thirst officer we talked about.
Correct.
As well. Maybe you can explain a little bit more about that side.
Yeah, I seen some very interesting business cases where companies, many people talk about like being customer-centric, but then when you see how we organize, we are still in the traditional way. No, we are still like human resources. You have procurement, you have finance. But then there's some very interesting business cases where you say, okay, what's the customer need? No, what they really want. So then you try to organize your own organization to address those needs more based on capabilities, on who do you need on the team, than just the traditional way of working an organization. And I think that's again where procurement capabilities just become super relevant, because beyond the name, if you see our day-to-day, you sell, you buy, you do finance, you do marketing, you negotiate more internally than externally with the suppliers. So it's a very nice way. I like it a lot, how you can transform completely the vision, and how the procurement role can really bring more value to the table.
Yeah, and it must be different as you go into different organizations, and you've worked in automotive, where I guess that link into the supply chain and the suppliers is very essential, because your product life cycle is a long time in the
Correct.
car. It's not a throwaway short period. So that the past you've had in automotive, I guess, has allowed you to build up this understanding of working with the supplier base to drive that competitive advantage.
Totally. The automotive industry gives you a lot of structure, but also they give me this vision about end-to-end processes, because you cannot decide or you cannot move things in a simplistic way, because you always know that something is going to have a consequence. And that also gives me a very clear understanding on why is it so important to work together with the suppliers, particularly now that we have all these new restrictions in the geopolitical situation and in the markets. If we don't work together and we don't understand end to end what's happening beyond the our actual organization, then it's very complicated to even to survive into the market. No?
And I also remember in the automotive side, they actually have a customer choice index, which I think is only unique in the automotive space. So we don't get that in pharma and food and in the beverage side. So that's an open index of who are the customer choice. So where the innovation will go in the future, and it'd be interesting if other industries started to think about what's our customer choice score, both from a behavioral side. So when new innovation comes to your business, how do you actually capture that and work with them to develop it as well? And that mindset's probably a bit of a change management we need to do for other industries as well.
Correct, totally. And as you said, the automotive industry has so much pressure that they need to think years in advance how are they going to work. But coming to the more like dynamic industries like food and beverage, you have a little bit more flexibility there. But I always like to think about innovation and how you keep your consumer and your customer always super delighted by bringing innovation that it goes beyond just like a continuous improvement. So to give you an example of this, when I work with the suppliers, we used always to ask, like, for example, I need bottles, no? Or I need promotional materials. What I'm doing now is more like sharing with them, this is my problem. This is what it's not allowing me to sleep. What are the solutions that you have for me? And just by changing that, then I am allowing more the supplier to come with innovation, with real innovation, new materials, new ways of working, new solutions, and even allow them also to talk about what can we improve in the process that it's probably not working for them or not delivering the correct results also for them. So again, I always think it in a end-to-end process, no?
And how do suppliers, when you come with a problem rather than an RFP, is that a change of mindset when you come with a problem?
It's very funny because they are always very happy. They tell me, "Oh, finally, I can present all my products." So then I open the gate so they can really make a pitch of all the different solutions that they have. But it's also giving them a lot of insights regarding the strategy, because instead of just telling them I need a bottle, then I tell them I need something to contain the liquid, but at the same time help me to connect with the consumer. So then I am giving them more strategical information so they can bring more solutions, not just for me, but for the entire market. No?
I guess that somewhat gives them a little bit more opportunity to engage with senior executives in the business, because you've presented a problem, they're coming with new solutions, and it's an easy way for you to connect them up with the internal business stakeholders as well.
Correct, and in an early stage, because that's the other thing that we all in procurement suffer a little bit, that it's like, oh, they already advanced, or many of the areas already advanced with the suppliers, and then it's like, procurement, can you negotiate? When you start to bring the supplier early into the conversation and just bring the ideas, you also help the internal areas to see what's happening and how can they react faster into the market and be more flexible to address the customer needs. So it's a very interesting process that it's not going to give you results immediately. This is not a short-term strategy, but in the mid-term and long-term, it completely changed the way that we interact with them and how we see the supplier too, because it's not really a supplier, it's more a partner, no?
How do you track those opportunities, those innovation ones? Is it because sometimes they're not going to be something that's going to deliver it in a year. It could take time for you to develop that to full capacity. Is it just the narrative, the storytelling that we need to improve with the business? How do you keep the business seeing the opportunity pipeline?
I always try to put like a brainstorming list,
Right.
and then based on that, we can prioritize what can we do very quickly, what is also matching the strategy of my company, and how can we put that up and running very, very quickly. And then the other ones, we just put them and we make like a project plan to try to trace all those ones. Otherwise, you're going to forget about them, no? And it's just going to be an Excel spreadsheet that is going to live there. But it also helps a lot because when you have so many people thinking in an open way, like what else can we do? It's a huge brainstorming. So when bad times come, you can come back to that list and always say like, what were we thinking at that point, and grab some of those ideas to try to move forward with the suppliers.
And do you need to create some flex in the operating model for your team to do this more innovative conversations? Because it seems some teams are just running sourcing activity, looking at cost. I guess you need to give them a bit of a time to work with the partners to build a little bit of flex in the operating model so they can start doing the partnering side and also with the business with the opportunities coming through.
Totally. And you also need to allow them to make mistakes and also allow them to be creative and think out of the box, because we normally don't have the time to do that. The operation is always in a rush. So I always try to put as part of the targets some of these projects so I can set the timing and the correct resources for the team also to be capable to focus there. Same thing with the supplier. And this is in the automotive industry. If you don't work on this, you are basically not going to survive. So I'm trying to apply everything that I learned from my early stages on my professional career to apply in the different industries. And it's all about that, how you strategize versus how you operate. And we need to do both.
And do you think there's a different mindset that a category manager needs to take? Is it easy for a category manager who's maybe more traditionally focused to move to the partnering side, or is it just giving them some guidelines and support in that change as well?
I think we are in a very interesting moment now because talking about AI, it's basically many of the traditional capabilities they need to evolve now, no? So it's complicated to put AI to be curious, but to create that mindset on the people, that was something that we were not requiring before in procurement. We were more like, we need analysis, we need negotiation. But now, like being creative, thinking out of the box, challenging the status quo, feeling comfortable, making mistakes, it's going to be super important. But at the same time, you also need the capability to cross the dots and analyze the data. No? So the profile is evolving from my point of view, but it's evolving in a very interesting way.
It's been a common theme in some of the conversations I've had around a high net curiosity score. You want people who are asking the questions around that and taking. And how do you feel that the business stakeholders, when you start approaching them with innovation and ideas, and maybe the perception of procurement hasn't been as so broad and innovative, do they just embrace it, or is there pushback and trying to keep you in your box?
No. The first reaction is always like, what are you doing about? And why are you doing this? No? What does innovation has to do with procurement? I mean, just focus on buying whatever it's needed. So it's a journey. You also need to explain to them and also show them that it goes beyond just buying. But it's a journey, and I think we are still in the very early stages of that.
And in terms of AI, have you started to adopt it within your organization? And I'm intrigued how procurement leaders start selecting different parts of the processes, or maybe we shouldn't be looking at our processes, but new ways of driving value with AI, and where you can be an innovator or a fast follower in different areas. Have you found an approach to look at how you start looking at AI?
We are in the very early stages yet, but it's quite interesting. This morning I was hearing something that I think is totally truth, no? So it's not just about the data and how you automate the data. It's also how you are going to review the processes and how you re-question everything that it's on the process so you can make it more agile. No? So we are in the early stages there, but it's going to be a very interesting journey.
It's fascinating, this link between the data, the AI, and decision making as well. But leadership as a whole, are you seeing? I guess in the consumer side, the marketing and sales will probably be one of the first to start using AI. Are you learning anything from the customer-facing side around the use of AI? And I guess procurement needs to get ready to start buying this technology for the business as well.
Yeah, totally. And the other interesting thing is our suppliers already adopt that because they are understanding us as a customer. So that's always the duality and the interesting piece because in the procurement world, you are learning a lot from the consumer too. So I'm learning also a lot from our own teams that for sure the marketing team is already on that, but also the suppliers on how they are interpreting and seeing our needs because we are not alone on this. No?
So you're having the net effect of AI that the account managers maybe more enlightened around your organization as well.
Yeah, totally.
But it's fascinating the supply chain of a bottle of alcohol or something like that. I didn't realize how complicated it can be. Even the cap, the capsules on top is quite an interesting category in its own right, and then the glass and everything else. Obviously, the liquid inside's the super important part, but it's an interesting supply chain.
Yeah, totally. And but also the concept is very interesting. And when you work with the suppliers, you have the very technical piece because you need to protect, you need to conserve, you need to transport. But at the same time, you need to communicate because that's what communicates in the first stage with the consumer. So it's a super interesting because you always have the very technical, operational characteristics, but at the same time, you have all the piece of how you connect with the consumer. So it's one of the most interesting categories.
And the categories, I guess, changing quite a lot. I haven't had alcohol for 2.5 years, but it does seem like there's more non-alcoholic drinks coming into the same space, which I guess is another processing approach that you need to put on top of the traditional alcohol side.
Totally, and this is also showing how the market is evolving and how we are consumers too. So when I hear people saying, "Oh, the market or the consumer," I'm always saying like, "Let's just ask ourselves because we are also consumers." And there you can see why and how the needs are changing so fast, and that for me then it's easier to understand what do I need from my supply chain so I can be more agile and more flexible and allow my sales and marketing teams to go faster to the consumers.
And I've been speaking to some other CPOs at the event now, and it's been interesting looking at talent now. We talked about net curiosity score. I think we used to look at people, process, and technology. It does seem like we're now, how do we augment people with AI? And does some of that work get done by the AI versus individuals? Have you, is it changing the way you're looking at people, process, and technology with AI? Have you come to a hypothesis on this, or is it still something that you're kind of trying to work out how this augmentation actually happens?
It's very interesting because you discover different trends every day, but it's totally true. At the beginning, we were very focused at the process and then the system. And now it's like processes are evolving very fast, systems are evolving very fast, and same thing with people. So now what I see is more like a Lego. So you put it one side one day and the other side the other day, but the same way that we evaluate the capacity of this software, for example, then you need to do exactly the same thing with the people, so you can really match both. No, so it's more like based on capabilities than it was before.
And it seems when you're with your approach and your vision for the procurement function, driving a broader value proposition, this ability maybe for some of that work to be offloaded to AI just allows your team to drive more of that competitive advantage for the organization as well.
Totally. And for example, managing data, before it was like, okay, let's cross this, and then we will take a decision. Now you can do that immediately, but that, talking about innovation, that free the time for the team so they can really dedicate more to innovate, create, and see what it's on the market. No, so it's balancing there, and it's moving very very fast. So things that before were taking longer just to create a system, a BI, now is basically immediately.
It's a fascinating conversation, Marijose. I think we talk a lot about technology here, but it needs to enable something. And I think by looking at this broader proposition of procurement and how they can drive more value to customers and consumers, by unlocking it with AI and the potentials that could come through here, both for insight but also efficiency, allows the current procurement team to drive a new value proposition. So it's been great speaking to you, and I'm looking forward to hearing your feedback on the next 24 hours of the event as well. And I'd love to follow up on this one and hear more about this transformation and change. But again, down to the strategic procurement value proposition, as well as how the technology enables it, because they do need to be connected. And I think sometimes we miss this when we start looking at the new shiny things. I'm probably the worst one for it, but it is an exciting space as well.
Totally. Thanks for having me, and yeah, we will keep enjoying the event.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
See you.